already gone. All right. Wow. Totally forgot I was wearing a different shirt today. Normally I'm wearing my all black. Fun times. All right. So today what I'm going to try to do is work a little bit with the Pipedrive API again, specifically so that I can work with Reader and Feedbin. So I'm going to share my screen. Go live here. All right, so what I've been trying to do is work more with tools for finding more client gigs. And so I've spent a lot of time over the last week or two trying to find different ways to work with feeds. So a couple of the tools that I've been using is Fetch RSS, which has turned out to be pretty awesome. And then a bunch of the tools already really support this on its own. So I wanted to have a good reader. So I've been working with Reader to see if I could use this. It integrates well with Feedbin. And I was playing around with Pocket, but I don't think I'm going to use Pocket. Pocket would be more for like a read later sort of situation. But when I added that, I realized it didn't have any broadcast capabilities. Like it wasn't able to send notifications. So if I'm going to be polling something to see if there are new things to add to Pipedrive, I might as well just work with Feedbin directly. Feedbin is more or less a RSS aggregator. It could probably be a first-class reader itself. Like I wouldn't need to use Reader at all. I think that this works well. So right now I'm looking at all entries, give people a better idea of what I'm trying to do here. Supernova, I think I'm trying to do the awesome streaming setup again, so it looks like it's only using about 3 megabit per second. So you can let me know if it's actually 1440p and how the quality is. That would be super appreciated. So I have all of these feeds up and running. I can switch from all to starred. And so the workflow that I think I'm going to be using is if I star something, I'm going to want to follow up with it. So if I'm looking through like these lever posts, there's a couple of things that I've already starred. We work remotely. These were from a little bit before I reorganized everything. So that's why these are showing up here. If I go to unread, there's also some searches. Hey, Assert Chris, thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm trying to do some occasional one-off streams during the middle of the day or in the morning here. So yeah, I think that even if I do little short broadcasts like this, I think it'll probably be good. So in addition to having these feeds coming in, Feedbin also provides searches. So I can do specific searches on top of everything that fits the filters. So in this particular case for architecture, I'm looking for anything that has architecture. Some more interesting ones would be technology and strategy, where I can actually do some Boolean logic here. So if someone posts about technology strategy or technology strategic, technical strategy or technical strategic, it's going to fall into this bin. So these are going to be my high priority feeds to actually take a look at when I have unread items. And then anything that I star, because I don't necessarily want every single thing that comes in here that it just matches the filters, will be created as a lead. I actually want to do something active to get them into Pipedrive. So this is kind of the setup for where things are at. I've already done a little bit of stuff with Pipedrive in the past on the stream, but I want to get leads pushed into here so that I can start tracking the potential gigs in a proper CRM that I can actually follow up on and keep everything nice and separated and not get overwhelmed. Because the problem is, if I see this 116, at least the way my brain works, this 116 is just like, wow, This is going to be a long process. I've already starred a bunch of things. So if I switch to starred, you can see I have 30 things starred, and I'd have to follow through these, and they're not organized. I don't know when I starred them. I don't know if I've actually followed up on them and submitted anything yet. So Supernova just said, got to keep them separated. Hey, Jay Kruth, thanks for joining the party. This is a real stream today. Yes, Supernova says now it's a party. Awesome. So last night what I did was I kind of took a look at, let's see here. Last night I took a look at one of the different pieces and sketched out what I want to start building. And so this is what we're actually going to be working on today. Is sort of a workflow to get stuff from Feedbin, query it based on like a timer schedule, maybe once every 15 minutes or so. Look for any starred entries. Then, so if the way the Feedbin API works is it's only going to give me a list of IDs. So I'm going to go get individual entries then. So after I have the starred entry IDs, I can go get the actual entries. I'm going to look at each entry and get the extended information for it. And so that's something that's built into the Feedbin API. Let's see here. Feedbin API. There we go. So there's something in entries. Yeah, so you can get the extended mode. Get some additional information. So this is probably what I would want to do anyway, is get the extended mode. But there's another. I thought there was another thing somewhere in here. Mercury. Extracted content URL. So extracted content is another service. One of the pieces of information that comes back from the entry is the URL to get the extracted entry information, or the extracted content from the URL. So I actually want to get both of those things. So the workflow will be find starred entries, look to see which of those starred entries I haven't already stored locally, and then go get each individual entry, get the extended information for each individual entry, and then look to see it'll switch from entries to Pipedrive to look to see if there's an organization that's already created for that particular entry. So what I wanted to do was find a way to just add leads raw. I don't necessarily want to add a person or an org. However, the way that Pipedrive works, you can't have a lead that doesn't have a contact person or an organization. So I don't want to get too complicated in here and trying to derive the company or the organization for which a specific lead has come in. So what I think I would like to do is use the domain. So for example, we work remotely. We could the extracted content URL gives you the ability to get the domain name, easily get the domain name for a specific post. So what I'm going to do is create a new organization for each of these domains. So at least from this perspective, I will be able to see, it doesn't even bother showing me where the lead came from here, so I can probably add that though. Actually, I'm not going to worry about that right now, because it doesn't necessarily matter. So the only side effect of this is that on my contacts page, I'm going to have a bunch of organizations for the places that these jobs are coming from. Ideally, what I would do is look at each lead when it comes in, read it, see if I'm actually going to follow up on it, and then I can associate it with, let's see, where is it? Person, organization. So I can link to an organization, and let's say I know that one of the gigs on my starred list is localized. So I can look at localized and either add them as a new organization or not. So really the leads will just be in the bucket for the domain name from where the job is coming from, at least initially. and then we'll switch over to the actual organization if I deem it worthy to actually put into the lead itself. So to start things off, I think I'm going to work with the, let's see here. I think I need to create a new model. So I'm going to create I have two models that I wanted to create: Feedbin leads and Feedbin orgs. Because I want to be able to keep track of these things. The Feedbin leads is going to have a foreign ID for the Feedbin entry ID. And then it's going to have additional foreign IDs that are like true foreign IDs to like a completely separate system, external IDs, I guess. Pipedrive lead and Pipedrive org ID. And then I'm going to have two fields, one for the entry JSON and one for the extended JSON. So I want to be able, I don't want to create more work for myself than I need to, so I'm just going to store the raw data as JSON. And then as I find a need to bring those pieces in, so for example, if I find it would be really easy to, or really nice to have the title for some reason as a top level entry, I will create a new title field. But at first, I just want to get the data so that we can start working with it. So I'm going to start by creating Feedbin leads. And I'm going to use the generator for this. So Feedbin lead. Oh, no. Lead. And we'll create the migration for that. And that's all we really need at this point. Feedbin lead. And then Feedbin org. Okay. And okay, cool. All right, so now I'm going to go check the migrations. I might end up referring back to, why does this have a diff? Seems kind of scary to me. Why is this modified? Oh, you know what? I remember now. So I did something kind of naughty. I upgraded this from a string to text after deployment. Because when I deployed the actual task synchronization code to production, immediately a actual task that I added had a much longer note than a string allowed for. So I manually updated the type in production, and I made sure and updated the migration, but I didn't actually commit that change apparently. So that was kind of bad on my part, but we'll just go ahead and leave this here. Okay, so that's taken care of. I don't want to follow the same sort of ideas that I did here. We'll remove that because we don't need it. Hidden leads. Okay, so he's complaining about duplicated code fragments, so we want to save Feedbin entry ID, and then Pipedrive organization ID, and Pipedrive lead ID. And I do already have Pipedrive webhooks. Inbound message here. So we have, yeah, so these are already unsigned big integers. So I'm using the same exact naming that I've already used here. DBA changed the data type. Yeah. Thanks for that, Jake Ruth. This, yeah, these are more or less the same, and it makes sense that it doesn't need to be nullable right away. So we're just going to leave it like that. I think that the Feedbin entry ID probably needs to always exist because we're always going to have that. Like this lead won't exist if we don't already have a Feedbin entry. So I'm fine leaving that like that. I'm going to copy the way that I did these JSON values. I don't know if nullable, yeah, nullable makes sense at least for one of these. So I might leave both nullable. We'll do entry JSON, and actually we'll do Feedbin entry JSON and Feedbin extracted content JSON. And then I think it'll make sense to have state. So we'll do table state, and we'll make this not nullable because we actually want to have specific states here. I think this maps more or less what I was looking for. For state, I'm thinking started, entry, loaded, ended, loaded, org added. Org. This is the one that I'm not sure about, so I'm going to put question marks here. So we'll do needs org, and then org added. So I think that we can skip if we can't find the existing org, then we'll set it to needs org. Otherwise, we'll set it to org added, which will be the hook into having some having this code look for adding the org on Pipedrive. Yeah, to do exactly. Then we have lead added and then unstarred. So the idea is that once everything has been transferred correctly into Pipedrive, on the Feedbin side, I don't want this article to be stored anymore. Now, one of the things that I'm a little disappointed about is that I don't have any way to add metadata to an event or to an entry beyond starring it or unstarring it or marking it as read or unread. Those are the only real flags. They do have these tags, but the tags are only at the subscription level. They aren't at the entry level. So I don't really like the idea that I'm just going to end up unstarring something and then I'll never forget or never see it again. But I can't think of any nice workaround for that for right now. So I'm just going to leave this as. But I think this is more or less what I want to see here. I'm going to look back at how I set up the models for synchronized task. Oh no, that was the webhook messages. So I just want to double check how to set up the cast. And I'm also going to make sure and set things as guarded. So let's go to Feedbin and lead. Oops. I think I maybe should have had done the factory thing. Or not. Huh. I will anyway. For sake of consistency. The Feedbin lead, the things that I need here to be JSON, Feedbin entry, extracted content. I wonder if I don't think I need to rename it. Sometimes I like to add that on. And other times it feels really unneeded. All right, so we have Feedbin lead. Now we need to take a look at the organization table. So I'm going to copy these and Pipedrive organization ID. A minute. Yeah, so not really paying attention here. So this should actually be lead ID. So for this field, I had ID, and then I was going to. This is where I'm a little torn because I'm either going to do domain, but that seems a little too specific for me right now. I think what I'd like to do instead is maybe just do title or name. Let me double check what the Pipedrive API considers this. So for organizations, first char, limit, sort, start. Oh, it's way down here. That's kind of annoying. Okay, so name. All right, so it's just name. So I'm gonna do name instead because it may not always be domain that I'm gonna be using. That just seems convenient right now. So the idea here is that I want to have a cache of names to Pipedrive organization IDs because I want to be able to look these up later without having to hit the Pipedrive API every single time. Okay, so I think that's all I needed here. I think name. I'm trying to figure out if I need to do unique indexes on either of these. Because the name can change. I almost feel like this is the one that needs to. Because if I don't really care if the organization ID ends up in there twice, because I'm always going to be looking up by name to see if we have an organization ID for it. So I think this is going to be fine, at least for now. And I don't have to do anything fancy with the model for this, but I might make sure that it gets the as factory bit on it. And unguarded. Rid of that cast, because that wasn't over here. Alright, so Feedbin organization now is going to be finished. Alright, so go ahead and do fresh migrate. Okay. Cool, so it's created the leads table, it's created the organizations table. I'm going to check packages real quick to see if there's anything already built for Feedbin. Feedbin, export, bundle, Symphony bundle. Of course. Alright, so I think I ended up building my own Todoist client. I'm going to do something similar here. So we have Todoist API. I'm going to create a class. We're just going to do the same exact thing. So we're going to do an API. For Todoist, it needed a token. For Feedbin, it's going to need username and password. It's one thing I don't like about the Feedbin API is that it straight up uses basic auth with your actual username and password. That's going to be a little bit tricky trying to do some dev work here, but we'll make it work. Username. Actually, I'm not going to do that. Busy, so we'll do string username, string password. Generate these for us. So the Todoist API was a little weird because I went all in on post and then I ended up needing delete. So I think what I'm going to do here is change this a bit. We're going to do send string method. So then I'll change this bit. But then post is just going to become return, send, post. Same thing for delete, because I do think we need to do something with delete on this API as well. The real interesting thing, though, is that the Feedbin API is very much not standard REST. It's sort of, it does some weird things. So that's going to be us. So we're going to have to do something with the username and password, and I think that little client basic auth. Get. Okay, it's just auth. Okay, cool. And password adjust. Okay, so this should, in theory, work for us okay. That handles all of this, so I'm going to get rid of these. And let's do get hard trees. An array.
Break something.
Post. And I think it's even post, which is interesting. There wasn't a top level one. Yeah, start entries. It's its own URL. So let's do. And it's just going to return an array of IDs. So we'll do post. Try not to do anything different than this. Fonts. And then the top level entry is just going to be an array. There's no metadata around it. It's just straight up an array. So we'll do return code. Oh no. Where there was, oh, there is a JSON. No.
Your end is close. We shall enslave your planet.
So it is interesting because I don't have to give it anything. I don't have to tell it anything at all. I just give it the URL, and it figures out the rest. So I'm going to work next on config. So go into services. And so, Feedbin, and password. Oh. this should allow me to get the access I need, or get the information I need from the env. And then I need to configure my provider here, and I do this kind of thing quite a bit, and I do have some ideas for some fun Laravel tweaks. To try and make this stuff easier. Chris in. One of the DX things I'm thinking about trying to submit is this when you give config value. Just to sort of make things easier, or maybe even in this. I don't know. There's a couple of different ways that I've been thinking about doing this, where need scalar from big. Find some ways to make this whole process a lot easier to do, because right now it's not super easy to. I mean, this is not fun to do, and if I have a bunch of these values, it just feels very heavy. So if I can find a way to make this nicer, it's one of the things I'm thinking about trying to sort of standardize and finalize. Okay, so we have this going. I'm gonna go private for a second here and actually add my details to my .env. Secrets! Yes, indeed. Supernova secrets. Your color, is it intentionally hard to read for people? It's that super bright blue. I should take a picture of this because it's really funny, because I don't have any. Here we go. Yeah, I'll share that in a little bit, but it's yeah, your color. Actually, I'll just show it on the screen right now. Let's go to chat here. A little bigger. Let's see. Color of your text character. Like I can't read it at all. That and I'm guessing now that it's probably more to do with the fact that my background on my chat app is like that. But I feel like I've even looked at it on my Twitch, my actual Twitch account, and the background, or the color of your character is the color of your screen name is hard to read on different backgrounds. Oh, okay, let's do it ain't easy being green. Ah, there we go. See, now I can totally see that. I know exactly who you are. Go back to. I want to run this one time and see if the error, if I get an error, if I'm going to end up exposing my credentials. Sure.
See, I'm so lost without you.
Um, Jake Caruth says, "Don't worry, it automatically replaces your credentials with asterisks." Yeah, nice. Okay, I actually do see output here, unauthorized. My credentials in it. No. Alright, so I'll try one more time, and then I'm gonna open, well, actually I'm just gonna open it back up, because I'm pretty sure I'm safe. Famous last words, right? Pretty sure I'm safe. And I believe this issue was actually because it should be get, not post. I guess the real question is, does it matter that I have this method at all anyway? I do. It does. Other than get doesn't need anything here, so. How you end up rotating your keys later. Exactly. Okay, so I'm still getting unauthorized. So there must be something wrong here. I don't think this will be a surprise, so I'm actually going to, well, is it right now? Oh, okay. So I might have to cut this stream a little bit short here. I had something else coming up at 11 that apparently is 10 minutes early. So I'm going to try seeing if I can get on my own. Make sure that my credentials are even coming in correctly. Alright, so it looks like they are, which means that there must be something wrong with... Oh! I know what I did wrong. If I can get at least this part working, I'll be happy. Okay, so I'm gonna stop dumping my credentials. Or I'm not anymore. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this was a pretty annoying error, but this header here, this is actually setting it an auth header. So this actually needed to be this. And if I do that, I should now be able to see the starred entry IDs. And so if I do go back into K2 for each, well, actually, what's that passing back actually? Oh, it's just passing back an array. All right, so we'll do get starred entries. And then I will do the details. Okay. And then I'm going to pass in card entry. So this is not going to be a good general purpose API client, because It's not intended to be. It's intended to be very specific to this application, which is why I'm just going like I am, because I'm going to do entry IDs, and we're going to do entries. Cool. All right, so this is going to be the URL. You just need to pass in a bunch of entry IDs. So I'm going to rename this to start entry IDs. And then this works as I expect. This should actually give me a fully rendered information for each of these. So in just under 45 minutes, we got through at least this first bit of getting stuff added to, or getting stuff out of the start entries so we can see this information. So I'm making some progress. I might come back on a little bit later today. Otherwise, I'll pick this up again maybe tomorrow. So thank you guys for joining. For those of you that are watching, yeah, hopefully I will be around a little bit later today, and thanks for chatting. Have a good day. Bye.